Hey, it's me, James. Happy Monday to you all. I'm filming this Oracle Outlook video on Monday morning. It is March the 17th, 2025. So first and foremost, those of you who are observing St. Patrick's Day, happy St. Patty's Day to you. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. This week I'm working with one of my personal deck creations. It is one that I sell on my Make Playing Cards marketplace site, and it is the intuitive Cartomancy deck. This is one of my best-selling offerings to the public, and what inspired the deck creation is that in my video series on playing cards, it is the personal study and practice of Cartomancy with playing cards. It's my own personal series about my experience using playing cards. And I had a few viewers over the course of that video series expressing, I guess, some concern about memorizing the meanings of playing cards. And let's face it, with any divinatory tool or system that you choose to pick up to work with, there is going to be a little bit of memorization, but I do remember that being a repetitive comment across the video series. And so one day I was inspired to create a deck with the intention of maybe reducing a little bit of memorization and maybe working more with your intuition with the cards. And so each card has an image, and it has a playing card insert of the standard playing card. So it's like Lenormand, which is why I'm using this deck following last week's video where I used my Gypsy Witch Oracle, which has playing card inserts. I was inspired by systems like Lenormand and Sibylla, because those have playing card inserts, and I thought that would be a cool way. So each card has a scene on it, but the standard playing card is an insert. And so we're going to go in and just shuffle the cards like we do every week, with the intention that we are going to either see an unfolding story and seeing how that progresses, or that we're going to be offered information, insight, maybe some guidance on events as they progress over the course of the week, and how we can best move through them. Think one more time. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. Going to fan the cards out. And as I do every week, I do a line of 5 reading. So I'm looking for 5 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. Okay, the 5 cards have been selected, so I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up, and we'll move that to one side. Now we're going to line the cards up in the order that they were selected. Alright. So we're going to read the cards left to right. And opening the line up, we have the Queen of Hearts. And so I'll hold the card up so you can see what I was going here with the design. So you can see there's an image of a mother holding a baby. And then the Queen of Hearts, the actual card, is the playing card insert. Okay, so whenever I pull this card and it turns up, it can be talking about an actual person. So let's go with that first. So the Queen of Hearts for me, in the system that I have adopted and curated and expanded upon over these years, is that it can represent a wife and a mother, which is why there's an image of a mother with her baby on the card. So that's first and foremost. So there may be an unfolding situation since this is the first card in the deck. So there may be something involving a wife or a mother, or it could symbolically represent something having to do with responsibility. Babies for me represent responsibility because we have to take care of them, right? So this could be something in its infancy if we just go with the symbol of the baby, right? So this could be something in its infancy, or an infancy stage of development, yeah? Meaning like it's just starting out and we have to care for it, nurture it, that kind of thing. Or it can literally be somebody having to do something with taking care of a child. If it's not your own child, then it would be like something like childcare, things like that. Another aspect of the Queen of Hearts is that this could be a woman who is well loved, or a beloved woman by people. It could also be a woman who's in a position of authority because she is a queen. She has a title, right? So she's a queen. So this could be a person who is in a position of authority and that she leads with her heart, or is goes by her intuition, her feelings, her emotions, things like that. So again, starting the line off, this may be a situation that involves a woman. She may be a wife, may be a mother. She may be a person in a position of authority. She may be a person who leads with her heart or is led by her intuition. Or somebody who's a much loved or beloved person. Right? And if it's not about a woman, then it's about what do we need to care for, nurture, maybe taking a look at our responsibilities, especially if it's something that it's in its stage of infancy. So those are all the things I would say about the Queen of Hearts at this time. So now let's take a look at the next card. And here we have the Four of Diamonds. Okay, so the Four of Diamonds for me is about material stability. So this could be taking a look at our material concerns, material experiences. The diamonds is also about, for me, financial concerns, which is why on the image, I'll hold the image up a little bit there, or the card up, I should say, so you can see the image. So here we have a safe deposit box in a bank, right? So this could be about financial accounts, saving, retaining something, right? It's about financial stability and security, right? Which makes sense with the image of a safe deposit box. So now the Four of Diamonds can also be about furniture that has four legs on it. So think of things like a table or a desk, something of that nature. And it could also be like if somebody's going to the bank or having something to do with banking, then this could be about a bank teller window or a cashier's window, something of that nature. Now, if somebody's going to be pursuing something that's going to lead to a greater sense of financial stability and security, then this card can be about getting a certificate in something. So there may be somebody who's embarking on maybe like a course of study or some sort of training that's going to lead to a certificate or certification, which would increase their level of financial stability and security. Right. The 4 is a number of foundation, so it could be laying the foundation for greater financial stability, maybe outside of the ways that I'm currently explaining that. But the idea is we're laying the foundation. So now it may be I'm talking about a particular woman who's watching this video. She may be a wife, a mother, all the things that I said previously, or she could be maybe wanting to move into a position of authority. Remember, queens have titles, so they are authority figures, and she is pursuing that. Now, if I just go with the idea that the Queen of Hearts, the actual card, is facing away from the Four of Diamonds, then this may be something that may be a little bit of a challenge for her because she's not facing the card. right? If I was just working with the playing cards, that would be called inauspicious placement, the card behind the Queen of Hearts. So that may be something that's a little bit of a challenge. And so I will also say that maybe for women in the collective, maybe there's an issue about financial stability, financial security in light of what's been going on, at least here in the United States, across the nation. Over these last several weeks, pertaining to job, employment, monetary issues and concerns, things like that. So that may be tying into that, these two cards. Okay, let's move on to the middle card. For me, the middle card is usually the heart of the matter, central issue, or the focus. So let's take a look at that. And here we have the Three of Clubs. So now clubs for me as a suit can represent things having to do with the public, right? So it's very interesting what I said. I made that the meaning of these two cards more wider, involving other people, and that would make sense with the clubs as a suit. It represents the public, something social. It can represent work and business, and I tied that into maybe the idea of women moving up the ladder or being in positions of authority. So there's something about that, right? So this could be talking about expansion or increase. That's the number 3 in the system that I work with. It can also represent growth and development. So here we have maybe focusing on the increase or the expansion of either work or business. It could also mean that somebody's going to get an increase in business, right? So, or increase in work. So for me, this would signify for me the possibility of having more work to do. Now, in some instances, because of the image, I was very creative with the threes. I got a direction from Spirit when I was working with this deck, that when it came to the threes, to be more creative with the image. So the image is train tracks. And you can see as they intersect, right? So this could be like being at a crossroads, metaphorically, the intersection of two different paths and where do they meet, kind of thing, if you're trying to explore where you're supposed to be in life, or taking a look at maybe your progress with something. The suit of clubs talks about progress, and maybe just taking a look at where you're at. This card can be about tracking your progress, playing a pun on the track. But it can also be about being creative. So maybe if you are nurturing a baby, metaphorically, it may be a creative project, and you're being given the guidance to move forward with that creatively. This card can be about like the initial stages of success. Oh, and with the baby, there is the idea with the number 3 that it can represent results or offspring, because it is the result of taking the number 1, and adding it to the number 2, the first masculine and the first feminine number, and then you get 3, which can represent results or offspring. Right, and I say creative work. This is known as the author's card. So it may be that somebody is working on a manuscript of some kind. So it could be a novel, a piece of nonfiction, could be biography, memoir, right? Maybe about family and how one was raised. If I go with the first card, and the result of that upbringing. But that's the 3 of clubs. It can represent the authors, being an author. It could just be a need to, like if you want maybe a greater sense of financial stability and security, it may be a matter of simply writing things down, and then tracking your progress as you go down your list of things that you may need to do in order to achieve a greater sense of financial stability and security. So there is that. Now, the one last thing I will say about the 3 of clubs is that it can represent training. So it comes back to this idea about maybe somebody being certified or getting a certification in a particular course. It may be work related, right? And that would be part of your training and development, getting that certification. Now, it could also be here if we have the caring and nurturing aspect of the queen, then this may be like you are a trainer on your job. I know in my particular case that whenever we get new people in our department in one of my 2 jobs, they are usually given to me to work with when they initially start to train them. So I'm looking at this card thinking like, oh, and I was just informed the other day by one of my facility managers, location managers, that they are in the process of interviewing people for my department. I think she said like 10. And my response was, please don't make me train them all. If they all are, pass the interview process and get hired, of course. I would feel a little bit overwhelmed. And so, but for me, this card can represent, when it turns up for me personally, that I'm going to wind up training people in my department. So those are the first 3 cards. Let's move on. Next card here, we have the 2 of diamonds. So now we have ruling majority. We have 2 cards from the suit of diamonds. So as the ruling majority, this is about material concerns. It can be about resources, assets. So that could be career. It could also be about the physical material. So you think about the body, and then health and healing. Diamonds are also about energy. So it could be something about energy. I'm going to go with that first. So we went from a 4 to a 2. So for some people, as the week progresses, there may be a decrease in energy, just simply because we are decreasing in number, right? So there's that. But in the image, I went with the image of a couple sharing Chinese takeout, because one of the meanings of this card can be an invitation to lunch or dinner. And then the 2 can represent partnerships, relationships, but it can also represent sharing, right, which is what the couple is doing on the card. So it can literally mean that people will be invited out for lunch or dinner, right? And then sharing food, right? So that could be like, you go out and then you split the bill, that kind of thing. Again, going with the money, right? So you split the bill, right? You share the food, you share the expenses of that meal, right? But if it's not about food, then it could be about sharing the resources that you have, or your assets, with another person, right? And that would make sense for the people who are the trainers out there who are watching this video, the trainers. Then this would be about sharing your assets, your resources, right, in an effort to educate another person, right? You're giving them a helping hand, right? There's that. Now, this can also be about financial aid and financial support and financial help. And usually for me, when it comes towards the end of the line, this would be like if somebody was offering it to you, if it was in the beginning stages of the line, right? This would be where somebody's going to be asking of it from you, right? So since, at least in my particular case, so this could be about maybe the giving or receiving. I'm going to maybe leave it a little more neutral. The giving and receiving of financial aid, help, and support. So if it's not about food in the literal sense, then it's about, some other resources or assets that are being requested, right? So it's about giving and receiving. So now going with the food, there may be something more metaphorical here. As you're moving through life this week, what are you digesting, right? What are you chewing on, right? What can you stomach and what can you no longer stomach, right? And then if it's something you can no longer stomach, then what would you be willing to do in terms of asset and resources to change that experience, right? Maybe so it's something a little more digestible, right? And those are all, I'm playing on the words, and they're puns that I'm using. I'm using that in a very metaphorical context, yeah? And then the last thing I want to say, this is an interesting thing when I chose this image. I'm going to hold it up as close as I can. Hopefully you can see that on the card and it says thank you, right? So a message here with this card, it can be when somebody is giving something or receiving something, shared assets, resources, things like that, then it's about expressing gratitude, right? There are moments in my life, especially like when I'm eating takeout. It seems to happen when I'm eating takeout. That as I'm removing the food from its cartons or containers and I'm putting it on plates to eat, there are moments when I'm doing that. I'm in an overwhelming sense of gratitude, for the experience that I get to, be home. I get to eat takeout. I just find myself just in a great deal of gratitude. And so maybe it's about maybe taking a pause and expressing some gratitude for where you are at in your particular life journey, story, or experience. Yeah. Okay, and then the last card is we have the Six of Hearts. So now we have 2 cards from the suit of hearts and 2 cards from the suit of diamonds, right? So now hearts is about feelings, emotions. It's about relationships and the way that we relate to other people, right? Because relationships come in various forms, right? Not just necessarily the romantic or the intimate type of relationships, right? Well, intimacy can also be between people who are not having a romantic relationship, yeah? Okay, so here I'm going to hold the image up. And so here, the first thing that I want to say, and I am back. What happened was I was looking in the viewfinder of my camera and I saw a blinking light and it indicated that I only had 4 minutes left to film. So I had to go in and take out some content on the camera that I no longer needed, and I am back. So I'm going to pick up where I left off, no pun intended. So I was holding up the Six of Hearts and I was going to be explaining the image. So the image is a man who is sitting in a college classroom. So there's that visual pun for the certification process I talked about with the Four of Diamonds in the image. Yeah, but the reason why is because the Six of Hearts for me has 2 meanings. First up, it can represent masculine energy. So this could be a male relative or a male friend. And then the other meaning can represent study and enlightenment. So I combine those 2 meanings with the image of a man looking at his tablet in a college classroom. Right, so there's that. Now, putting the card down, this card can be talking about things of an emotional nature. So I love it. We started with a woman with the Queen of Hearts, talking about feelings, emotions, being led and guided by your feelings, your intuition, things like that. But we also talked about her being a wife and a mother. And then we have masculine energy, right? And then let's not leave out the couple on the Two of Diamonds. So there may be something having to do with a particular relationship, maybe involving a woman, right? And then a man with the Six of Hearts. Now this card can be about emotional responsibility, right? A similar variation to the Queen of Hearts, where we talk about the caring and nurturing aspect of the Queen, right? So if you are a woman, it could literally mean your feminine energy, right? But if you're a man, it could just be talking about the aspect of the Queen that resides in all of us, regardless of gender, and that's the ability to be caretakers and nurturers, yeah? Right? But here we have emotional responsibility. So there may be something of a situation in which we are feeling responsible, right? And that could be like parental type energy. Like we want to take care of someone or something because we feel a sense of responsibility towards it, right? It could also be like in the course of a relationship. Again, doesn't matter the level of intimacy in the relationship or what the type of relationship it is, but it could just be a matter of, you being responsible for your emotional responses and reactions within that relationship. Meaning like you are in control, Queen, right? Represents a form of control and power. You are in control of your emotional responses, right? it's the idea of like people can't make you feel a certain way. You are choosing to react and respond on an emotional level to that experience, right? So it's about, taking a little bit more emotional responsibility in that context. It could also be with the six about communication. So there may be a need to have a conversation or a communication with another person, and it's about going with your heart, explaining how you feel, right? It's about heartfelt communications, right? Emotional communications, right? And it could be doing it with the idea that you are hoping to either bring a sense of balance or restoration. That would be the six. The six is a number of balance. But it could also be that you are hoping to heal a particular experience, because the suit of hearts can represent healing, right? And as I'm saying that, maybe somebody's getting their certification or their training regarding a particular healing modality or technique or process, yeah? And it may even have something to do with maybe people healing, giving them the resources to heal and improve their relationships, right? How can they be more comfortable sharing maybe other parts of themselves with another person? Maybe if they haven't been sharing all of who they are with, their partners, maybe equipping them with the tools, the resources to be more able to do that, right? And then if somebody is maybe the author, right, aspect of the three of clubs, then this could be about, sharing what it is that you have with other people. This would be about study and enlightenment, giving other people the resources that lead to a greater sense of enlightenment or awareness, right? So again, ending with the Six of Hearts, this is about masculine energy, male energy, emotional responsibility, communication on an emotional or heartfelt level. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this week's Oracle Outlook. This has been James Himm Mitchell. If you made it all the way through to this part of the video, I just want to thank you so much for giving me the gift of your time. As I always say in this section of the video, that you could have chosen to be anywhere else and do anything else, but the fact that you landed here and chose to view this video all the way through means a great deal to me, and I don't take that investment of your time lightly. So again, James Himm Mitchell signing off. I'm going to be wishing you a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will be seeing you in this space for our next Oracle Outlook video reading. So until then, take care.